Good afternoon. This is Mike Furman at Iredell Free News. We're joined today by John Green, the President and CEO of Iredell Health System. John, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Excited to visit with you a little bit today to talk about the impact of the closing of Davis Regional Medical Center on the Iredell Health System. So that's the big question. The view from 20,000 feet, what does that look like?
Well, it was a dramatic change, Mike. I mean, it was something that was totally unexpected to us. Iredell got news on July 19th, just as the employees of Davis, the board of Davis, and the community, heard all at the same time of this change. And it's been a pretty rapid fire month. As we're looking at the volumes that Davis provided, and they're significant. A lot of folks, had a lot of loyalty to Davis, and I respect that. And so now we're looking at how do we promptly grow, in many service lines, 20, 25, 30% overnight. At a time when staffing's a challenge, and just getting new equipment is a challenge, and everything about that is difficult. What we've done, let me kind of start back at the beginning. What we did right away was we asked each department to look and say, what do you need to do different to be 20 to 25% busier? And so when we asked them that, we said, look at your personnel, look at your capital needs, look at any construction needs. And some of them are going to be short, medium, and long range, but we have to look at all three. And we did that, and we've rolled that all up. And by rolling all that up, we've recognized we have a lot of needs. And we're going to have to progressively do those, because we're not sure at what point, some of those patients come or don't come. But we need to be prepared. Recognizing, first and foremost, we are always here for the community. We've always been here for the community. We're going to live and die by that statement. But we also recognize that now more of the community needs us. And so our goal has to be, how are we going to be here for them, and how are we going to make sure that we are the place that folks are very comfortable coming to.
So let's talk a little bit about staffing. I know you've had some job fairs the last few weeks. That's been pretty successful. You've hired some people that were former Davis employees. You feel like you're adequately staffed from day one, and what are your needs going forward?
I don't think there's a company in America that would say that they're adequately staffed right now in any industry, let alone in healthcare. We had probably 80 openings, prior to the Davis issue arising. Our statistics show we probably needed an extra 150 employees or so, just with the 20 to 25% expansion that we're looking at. So that puts us at needs of over 200 people. So there's no question that we're not fully there yet. I'm pleased to say that our most recent orientation groups have been very large. There were 58 individuals in our orientation. Last week when I went, when generally we've been running 20 to 25. So that's great to see. We've added an extra orientation this coming week with similar numbers. As a whole, we've probably hired about 100 individuals. So we're well on our way, but we're certainly not at the point of what we need to get to. One of the big things that we've stressed, with the open houses is, first and foremost for the employees of Davis, we recognize that, those individuals have been thrown a huge curveball. And so we want to be here if they want to still be, healthcare workers in this community. They have other choice. We respect that and recognize that, but we want to be here for them if they would like to stay working in the community.
So let's shift a little bit and talk about capital projects. I know you had some planning underway for some expansion already, and now it looks like that's going to change.
Yeah, it changes in as much as it just augments it. We're not going to stop any of the capital that we had going. For example, one of the issues that arose, up on our third floor, we were renovating 3 North, which was a nursing unit of ours. And, our normal nursing units have the nurses stationed in the center, and it spokes out in 3 directions. And we were renovating 1 spoke at a time. And we're, of course, 2/3 of the way through when Davis announces that, we're closing. Well, we need all of those beds now. But we also recognize that we're 6 weeks-ish away from finishing this project, so we have to finish that capital project. It would be good in the short term, but poor, a poor decision to make. And so thankfully, using our local construction partner, Geo Wilson, doing that project for us, we just said, hey, can you speed up at all? Any way you can speed up, that's going to help us, even if it's a couple days. So we're going to still do those things. I think, one of the biggest projects we have going on right now was we were looking to expand our critical care unit. So, CCUs, as we call them, just got absolutely overrun and abused with COVID. is a place where, it's generally the only place in a community hospital you have ventilators. So when you think about a lot of the severe COVID cases, what did we always talk about? We talked about, well, how many ventilators do you have right now? And so that's our critical care unit. So we had a plan already to expand the critical care unit out over the emergency department. And we were going to take a 16-bed unit and make it 24-bed. We had the drawings done. Our board of directors actually had graciously approved a $14.5 million project to increase our bed count from 16 to 24. Now with Davis's closure, we haven't moved dirt, we haven't broken walls, so we're re-looking at that and we're saying, do we need to go bigger? Because our goal has to be to make sure that we have enough CCU beds to care for this community. Ideally, the other aspect of that is kind of convenient is that was being built over the emergency department. So if we make the second floor shell bigger, this is a time for us to look and say, do we need a larger emergency department?
So both of those projects are 1 year, 2 year projects?
Actually, it's a little longer than that. Unfortunately, we are looking at the CCU project finishing somewhere into the second half of 2024. So that's really a 2-year project. The biggest challenge is getting it designed and then getting some of the long lead time items. Meeting I just walked out of, the steel right now today is the longest lead time, and air handlers. By the time this taping is finished, it could be something different.
So last question, and this is something I think viewers are going to be very interested in, is what should they expect if they come to the ER room now that there's only one emergency room in Statesville?
It's a challenge for us right now. If you look at the numbers from 2021, Iredell Memorial Hospital had around 36,000 ER visits and Davis had 25,000 ER visits. So the numbers weren't that dramatically different, A, and then B, you add those together, you have 60,000 visits. I've been here 20 years. We had just under 50,000 visits in the mid-2000s. So we've done some pretty significant numbers, but it's been declining over the course of time. And so this is a big swing for us. So where we have watched our wait times and we have watched how long a person is from the moment they arrive to they leave, and we've been at right about the national average, which is about 3 hours. It's going to be a challenge for us to keep at that point right now, as we get additional volume in, but that's still our goal. So we have hired more staff. We have brought in travel nurses. So we've gone out and we have paid for temporary staff to make sure that we have enough. We've also talked to our partner over at Wake Forest, who does the physician and the advanced practice providers, our APPs, to make sure that they're staffing more too. Because we just have to respect that we're going to have greater flow and we have to have efficiency with that. But interestingly, it's really not just in the emergency room, because then it also flows to how long is the patient kept in the hospital. Because if there's no place for that to be admitted patient from the ED to go, then we're going to be stalled. So it really creates the requirement for efficiency throughout our whole system. So it really it's not just one department. It really adds up into multiple departments. Our goal is, at the end of the day, we are going to get folks through as promptly as we can. Our goal is to work to be back at the minimum, or the national average. I would also say, I'd ask for patience in the short term, because it is going to take us some time to be able to ramp up to that. But our team is working very hard to make sure that we're working forward to taking care of our community. Finally, we are looking outside and saying, are there other things we need to be doing out in the community? We added a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week urgent care in Mooresville. Well, now that's not in Statesville. That might not be where someone wishes to drive in the middle of the night. Our goal was to provide choice. And so that choice does still exist, and we would, recommend people consider that or other options they have in addition to that.
Well, John, thank you so much for visiting with us today, and we'll look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Thanks, Mike.